All right, so my talk will be rather a short one this time. So I've made over the couple of user conferences I participated in, I made some observations, and what Clarence and Desiree showed us today told me that we have a particular need for sharing wiki applications amongst end-user communities. So wiki applications could be simple people directories, just a set of properties and a category and an example page and a query. Nicely layouted. We know that there are people which are better than us in layouting and doing graphics design. So I believe that there are a lot of people in end-user communities who could benefit from the experience and the capabilities and the knowledge other people have with regard to Wikitext programming and doing ontology design. So this is the reason again for me to propose to start an initiative which would lower the barrier for a regular wiki administrator to either consume wiki applications, smaller ones or bigger ones, or to prepare some and to share it with the rest of the community. So such a repository is a technical means, and it's worthless, as we know, if there is no people are working with it and driving such an initiative and being committed to it. So such that you have a kind of organization wrapped around it. For example, people who are reviewing stuff, who are taking care, hosting the repository, and finally preparing and consuming such wiki applications. So I believe that such an initiative is more than just preparing technology and making it available such that it works, but it also requires some people taking care of it. So this would be, so to say, the second part of the initiative I want to propose here. Now, as a semi-technology guy, I cannot stop talking about technology, so please forgive me. How would such a repository would look like for the provider of a wiki application? We know that we have so far, I believe, at least 2 technologies available for that, isn't it? Yawan, your package stuff. Do I have a name for that?
Well, Clarence mentioned it briefly. Basically, it's just another category within the within smw.referata.com.
All right.
Where people can.
Okay. Yeah. The second technology which we have available is the deployment framework. And
sorry. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
the technology?
PHP code?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Yeah. The semantic bundle, I guess.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Semantic bundle is also a technology which is available for that. So for providers, in the case of the deployment framework, it would look like the following. You have your wiki, and you have there a collection of articles, for example, properties, categories, images, example articles, etc. And you would assign them to a particular category, and with a simple command, you would tell them, the deployment framework, to extract that set of articles and put it into a zip file. And the zip file could be then alongside with some automatically generated metadata stored on a repository. So this is fairly easy, and I'm sure it's similar with the semantic bundle technology. So for the user, it would look like, in the case of the deployment framework, that they would go into the command line interface, as I demonstrated it yesterday, and just type in SMWadmin and see what the common wiki application repository would host and would contain. And there he could select, and just by using the SMWadmin command could download it, and this could be then installed automatically in a given wiki. All right, and then the user and the end user community can start using it. So apparently there is technology available. Now the question is, who should host it, the repository, what technology to use, who is driving it, who is available, and who has some packages already at hand, which could be, as an initial start, being published in the common repository. Right. So I want to ask you to file your opinions on this matter and to give some hints, and everything in that respect is useful for us. And yeah, and also there are probably some volunteers who want to help out technologically wise or organizationally. All right, okay, so I would say, yeah, just go there, contact me, and I'm sure Jan will be part of that initiative too. No question, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so that's basically it, yeah.
I'd like to help.
All right, no. Okay, thank you. Great. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick,
Yeah.
well, maybe the survey, maybe later. I saw that you have that almost like the test sandbox thing
Yeah.
that gets installed.
Yeah.
This might be just a feature, was that it would be nice if it's almost like a test case, automatically, okay.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
I see. Yeah, basically it's a kind of test case.
Yeah,
and
it
we-
will automatically be.
all right. Ah, okay. If the installation process was finished properly. Okay, I see. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll put that into my notes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, there's already the forum there for talking about it, so I don't know if you want to, have a general discussion about the issue.
Feel free. I mean, we have the time about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I have some thoughts about it because I do run a quasi repository that's for the same kind of thing, and it hasn't gotten any real traction so far. And there's only one package there that's been uploaded, and it's obsolete, but that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, I certainly don't want to discourage the idea and discourage people from creating their own packages. But I've gotten a little more pessimistic about how useful such a thing is, just because every wiki's data needs are different in some way. I've never seen two wikis where the data is like interchangeable. The data structure is interchangeable from one to the other. So I think, I mean, while it's useful, I'm sure it would always need tweaking. You'd always need to change whatever is there to modify or add, at the very least, add on to what's there to modify it for your specific needs.
So, for example, because somebody is using a particular parser function within an article which is in a bundle or in a wiki application. This could be the reason why and a bundle couldn't be easily shared or exchanged or installed on another wiki.
Well, no, it's not. It's not even just. It's not even about the specific set of extensions being used, although that's part of it. It's just, every organization has the data that they need to hold, and it just happens to be. I mean, there's such a wide variety of data that you can hold that it ends up being different and looking different from one wiki to the next.
I think there are some standard vocabularies out there, like Dublin Core and Folk, some of those vocabularies, where it would really be nice, even if you knew you were going to extend that, it would be nice to have a starting place, where you knew that you could grab that vocabulary in a way that was specifically useful in Semantic Media Wiki, where, where the concepts were defined properly and things like that. And then knowing that in that case, you'd be forcing people to build their queries and such using that vocabulary and not, make sure, is the second word in a two-term, is it capitalized, and things like that. You'd be forcing people into those patterns. But that kind of standardization might be generally beneficial anyway.
I agree. I believe that building such a bundle or wiki application requires a kind of generalization work. As you're doing it by programming a product, you would be as general as possible. For example, as I said, a people directory could be created fairly on a general basis, such that it is useful in many cases and could serve as a starting point.
Well, I see sort of two or three different things that could be shared, and possibly two or three different approaches. First is the wikis and their content themselves, and that can be solved by simply, people who want to allow their wikis to be publicly accessible if they're not already there. Put a link on a common place, like the semanticmediawiki.org. The second is extensions. Obviously, there's a lot of extensions that are publicly available. There's some that aren't. That's going to be that kind of ventures into proprietary land. And the third is sort of non-extension utilities for wikis, which I think are. I've been working personally in that area, but I don't think that kind of gets as much press as either the extensions or the content. And to me, that sort of having another page on semanticmediawiki.org saying, here's a link to the SourceForge projects that aren't wiki extensions but work with wikis. That might be helpful.
Looking at Python and the way they've managed their central repository, it started off with Vaults of Parnassus and was eventually moved to something more general, whose name eludes me now. Perl has CPAN, that's been quite successful. I am still confused at what an application is here. I think in the case of the person case, it's a collection of probably just one standard template that defines how do you represent the date of birth, how do you represent the office location.
But then you template the forms and the properties.
Okay.
Actually, a library of templates might be useful.
That's a very narrow class of application, and I guess you're talking about other ones. I've got a little tool I use to clone everything into a new wiki if I want to copy pages and templates and forms. But I'd like to see 3 or 4 actual things that we're managing to manage first, before we think about quite the right way of warehousing it for fear of forcing the model.
Yeah.
So how do you think about a wiki widget model? So once you have all this widget defined, marked up, put it somewhere, it should be easily downloadable, sharing this relatively wrapped around with, all this metadata. That's one of the things I'm envisioning.
But everyone here just starts sharing XML export files. Right?
That's the package.
I like this
That's
idea.
what it is.
The easiest parallel, I think, is WordPress themes.
Yeah.
And in the same way they have a huge repository of people uploading WordPress themes, but we're doing it bigger because it's ontologies and it's relationships and things like that. But that vastly expanded the use of WordPress. If we want to expand the use of Semantic Media Wiki, we need to have specific applications that Semantic Media Wiki can do, and we need to have that available. And in the same way that kind of the model that WordPress uses, they have it's for free and they have premium ones in the different categories. They have a whole market based on this software as well. So it opens up a lot of things for more people invested in making good things with Semantic Media Wiki, which further opens the doors and the expansion.
And allows them to earn money with it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea and then you have all the data in the semantic web, which is the whole point anyway.
I would say that's an interesting analogy, but not a perfect one, because you can't. It's not as easy to use them out of the box. To use these kinds of applications out of the box as it is for a WordPress theme.
Yeah, and you still need to know what you're looking at when you install it.
And we've got one dead application right now, and we're talking about commercial revenue on, I think that part's getting way ahead of the game. It's good to think about it,
I just
but
think that's a good place that it could go.
Yeah.
Just want to, well, we're at it, just a few more, especially for NYC data web, if you want to use that as a tool to spread the word, is maybe a couple of things like, I don't know, some kind of hashing, so when somebody modifies something, you detect it, so it will say, oh, no, this is not valid anymore. Some way to track, if I upload something in terms of rewards and recognition, that you get some kind of analytics of who's downloading this module. What else? Along those lines, so maybe like, establishing that ecosystem for third-party developers to really contribute.
those seem like new things to me that don't exist yet. And I'm imagining that this has to take off on the basis of, okay, who here has not created a person class template by now, right? There's certain things we've all done over and over and over again. And getting just those consolidated best practices, because the way you do your analytics is not going to be the way that I do my analytics, I'm sure.
No, I mean,
And it's more about
analytics as in
Common
downloads
Core.
of this extension I uploaded to the repository.
And there's also a lot of customization going on.
Yeah.
So usually, even if I download something, right, it looks great, I probably still need to customize it to really fit my needs. So,
I mean, then we have, let's say, an easy start, and we will start with solving the easy problem, namely to have such only a repository containing templates and forms and articles, etc. Then that's it, and then we start filling around all that what's necessary for rewarding people and etc. So, what could be a next action item for that to start with that initiative?
Speed up the survey.
I mean, we could set up an informal working group and have a, I don't know, a scheduled telecon or so each 3 weeks or 2 weeks or so, where we exchange and
I think it probably the first, going on your line, I think probably the first thing we do is, let's figure out 3 or 4 or 5 packages that need to go up there, and hopefully not all from one organization. I mean, we grab a bunch of bulk sample weeks, but that's, or enterprise sample weeks, but that's not, probably be better if it was more broad spectrum than that. Then look at, well, what would it take to put those things up, to do the SEO around those things so that they are searchable and findable, and I would guess that action item number 1 is on this leave your opinion. The first question is are you willing to leave your wiki or not?
okay. Okay, so this means you're invited to make proposals for such applications or bundles of templates which you would be able to share, would you like to share, or would you like to download and install. And I hope we can keep in touch on that basis there, on the basis of this article here and the forum, in our forum. Where is it? Here we go. All right, the link is on the slides. Okay. Sure. Yeah? Wait a minute. Michael, what's up?
No, I was just wondering, we were talking about application level only.
No, wouldn't necessarily.
This says wiki application repository. So I was
Application
wondering,
is what we define an application.
I was wondering whether a repository for extensions would make sense, where with the click of a button I can install this extension, that version, including all of its requirements. This is something that we have, so maybe I'm not really neutral in proposing or asking about this, but what is your opinion? There are dependencies between extensions, right? We know that Semantic Forms version 2.4 only works with SMW 1.5.7, and it's always a hassle to keep all of those things consistent. And a repository with formal metadata for the extension would, I think, help a lot.
Shouldn't that be addressed in MediaWiki core, though? It sounds like you're describing a generic problem.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you're right. But I'm not aware of any movements to this direction.
Actually, no, people have talked about it. I mean, people talk about a lot of things, but people have talked about it. I can't remember now what the reason was exactly.
Jeroen was doing his Summer of Code thing last year about more or less the same
Yeah, that's
thing,
right.
but
Actually,
nothing really happened afterwards.
There's yet another Google Summer of Code project this summer, trying to further extend that, which would tie into being able to download more easily and also creating a central repository of information, maybe using Semantic MediaWiki, maybe using something else where you can put information about different extensions and how well they work with at least MediaWiki versions.
Okay, who's the mentor of this?
Man, it's
Someone from MediaWiki?
I think I had the page open with that information. I think it has 3 different mentors actually in that project.
I have to imagine that actually the repository is not so much the hard part. Within that, you would need each module to obey a certain convention on there will be an install something script. And that needs to be general enough that if you're talking about a new script you drop into the maintenance directory versus an extension versus a collection of properties and templates, just unifying on some sort of an interface for the top level way that you say, please install this thing, whatever it might be. I can wget the file. What I'd like to have is a common way to get it installed. And I think that's actually necessary to make the rest of this happen, whether or not there's a central repository.
Okay. A message from Enterprise could be, well, that's technologically in place, but this is not a message I want to say formulate here. I want to stress on the end user needs and on what's available as such wiki applications and what's needed as wiki applications, and then, as like Mark said, let's see what's there and what the people need, right? And then we find the right technology for it, of course. Okay. So please fill in the survey, give me your business cards if you want to participate in that regularity. Thank you.